So next up, we have Tim Moody, who's the CEO of Pan Global Resources. I was just at his flagship Escacena project in Andalusia, Spain. There's a number of mines nearby. Can't ask for a better place to have a mine. It's 40 minutes from Seville, and the nearby project Los Frailes just got permitted by Grupo Mex. I won't steal all your thunder, Tim, but thanks for joining us. I think you're good. You're good to start, Tim. If you can hear me.
Okay, yeah, you're cutting out a bit, Justin. Sorry. Okay. Well, thanks for the introduction, Justin. So I'll give an update on our what was just a copper exploration program, but now is copper and gold exploration program in Spain. So. Forward-looking statements. So, as I say, our focus is really on exploration and discovery of copper and gold now. We have two main projects. Our flagship project is the Escacena project in the Iberian Pyrite Belt. This is the foremost VMS, volcanogenic massive sulfide district in the world. There are a number of large producing mines and continues to attract major operators such as Boliden, Sandfire, First Quantum, and Grupo Mexico. Great infrastructure, etc., great permitting environment, and so on. Our second project is an emerging sort of copper gold area for us. It's an overlooked mining district, and look, watch this space because we're drilling there, really getting some exciting results. So, starting with our plan for this year, it really was focused on a multi-target exploration program aimed at making new discoveries. And secondly, we were looking to expand and delineate our first discovery, which is called La Romana, a copper tin silver discovery, ahead of publishing a maiden resource later this year. So we're well advanced on that program, multi-target drill program, and we're having some success already. So starting with the Escacena project, I describe it really as having a sort of low risk profile with high reward potential. That's because we already have an advanced discovery at La Romana with a very strong pipeline of 100% owned exploration targets. It is one of the few new copper discoveries in Europe with the potential for production this decade. It's first-class location in terms of infrastructure and permitting, etc. Really doesn't get much better than that. We have, as I say, a near-term resource to publish later this year, and we have advanced metallurgy already completed. And we just heard the importance of metallurgy in the previous talk. So, underpinning our plan and our strategy here is to grow our discovery at La Romana and grow it from probably somewhere where it is today, which is sort of between 15 and 30 million tons, and take it to 50 and then ultimately 100 million tons of copper resource. How can we do that? Through making additional discoveries. So La Romana will grow, and we hope with the exploration program we're doing, we'll help get to that bigger target of 100 million tons. At a smaller scale, the economics look favourable for trucking or conveyor belt to one of the nearby mines. That's a lower capex, capital intensity opportunity. But if we can start getting to about 50 million tonnes or 100 million tonnes, then we're looking at standalone and competing with some of the bigger operators in the district. So that's really our overall goal. Looking at the location, within about 40-kilometre radius of our La Romana discovery, there are three processing centres or soon-to-be processing centres, and if you expand that to about a 50-kilometre radius, that will also include some of Sandfire's mines as well. We're also about 75 kilometres from a smelter which is owned by Atlantic Copper. All of this is connected by first-class road and power infrastructure. I mean, this really is what good looks like. As Justin said, we're very close to Seville. It's about more like 30 minutes drive. You drive right past the open pit that is owned by First Quantum at Las Cruces. and then you go on to the drive past two former open pits that are operated by Boliden, which are now owned by Grupo Mexico. And as Justin said, they just received their final authorization to allow them to commence a new underground development right next door to us. Now, Grupo Mexico, obviously third or fourth largest copper producer in the world. That's very good news for us. It's also, another further indication of the favourable permitting environment we're in. So our La Romana discovery, which is the sort of red blob in the south of our project, Escacena project area, is about 6 kilometres from Grupo Mexico, and our second discovery at Cañada Honda is about 5 kilometres away, and we have other targets closer to Grupo Mexico as well. So great optionality for us as well. So potential for making additional discoveries in our property package, I can see is excellent. I really do believe we can make several additional discoveries here. These type of deposits typically occur in clusters. So once you find one, you're likely to find others. This image on the left is a gravity anomaly image. It's a sort of just one of the layers of information we use. Very effective tool in the Iberian Pyrite Belt. You can see a gravity anomaly down in the south. That's our La Romana, where we made our La Romana discovery, testing that gravity feature. Our second discovery with less drill holes at this stage at Cañada Honda was another gravity target. We're currently drilling this very large anomaly called Bravo as well right at the moment. So, very effective tool. We've got most of these targets are untested at this stage. So I firmly believe we can make more discoveries in this patch. So just updating on our program at La Romana. We've now completed about 188 drill holes. It's about 37,000 metres of drilling. We've shown copper mineralisation continuous over about 1.7 kilometres east-west. It's still open. Most of the drilling is to less than 200 metres depth. We have chased it down to 400 metres and it's still there. So it will still grow. We've completed some advanced metallurgy, etc. This project, if we were to publish a resource today, a good portion of it would fit in the measured and indicated category. So, well advanced in terms of the exploration of this project. A couple of cross sections. The figure on the left is one of the westernmost cross sections, one where we've done some of the more recent drilling. You can see 18 metres at 1.2% copper from close to surface. We've drilled again further west of that. We've hit more high grade, even higher grade than that, showing this mineralisation is still very much open, particularly to the northwest. And as you saw in the previous section, it's open down dip as well. Moving across to the figure on the right, it's a thicker section of cross section through the deposits, over 50 metres thick here. Again, just highlights this same favourable geometry. It's very predictable right across the deposit. Dips about 35 to 40 degrees. Ideal for an open pit. It's flat topography, thin post-mineral cover over the top of it, and some of the highest grades and thicknesses close to surface. So all favourable for an open pit. Now, comparing the depth of mineralisation on this chart with La Romana in green, some of the operating mines in red, and some of the more advanced projects in blue. So whilst most of the operating mines are already deep and going deeper, you've got mines going from 400 metres to 1.2 kilometres depth in the case of Neves Corvo. All of the other advanced projects in the belt also look like being underground projects. But here we have La Romana, copper mineralisation from surface, still open at depth. So a huge differentiator for us. Cheaper to drill, cheaper to mine potentially. Another differentiator, comparing our copper metallurgy. So we've completed very advanced metallurgy here. It's at least PFS level. So this chart just compares copper concentrate grade with recoveries. And put simply, we have the best copper metallurgy in the Iberian Pyrite Belt. The blue squares are some of the operating mines, and the green dots are some of the more advanced and development projects in the area. So, this is a huge value driver for us with copper concentrate grades up to 30%, recoveries of nearly 90%. We also have a tin co-product where we're getting 60% concentrate grades and recoveries. That puts it into the premium quality there as well. Very simple flow sheet to produce both copper concentrate using flotation and gravity to produce the tin. Coarse grain size, very low in deleterious metals. In fact, we're not expecting any penalties whatsoever in the copper concentrate. That means it can be treated at the Huelva smelter as well. So, yeah, this is very good news for us. All of the other mines and other development projects in the belt have some degree of penalty elements that they have to deal with, and etc. I mentioned drilling some of the other targets. We set out to drill at least 5 new targets this year. We put out some results on a new target called Pantoja down in just off the west end of the La Romana target. We've hit some copper and tin mineralization in those first couple of drill holes already. We're currently drilling the Bravo target just to the east of La Romana, and we have 3 or 4 others lined up ready to go straight after that as well. So, plenty of news to come from the ongoing drilling. I mentioned we made another discovery at Cañada Honda, just to the north of La Romana. It's a very big coincident gravity anomaly and electromagnetic resistivity target. We've only drilled at one end, the shallow end of that target. It's about 3 kilometres long, so probably nearly twice the length of La Romana, our first discovery. It has very similar geometry and depth to the Sotiel Magoyas mine. This is one of the mines being operated by Sandfire. It's about 100 million tonne massive sulfide deposit. We can probably have some of this fall in the resource category with the drilling we've done at the moment. But for the moment, we've parked this target because we could spend all our money just drilling this target alone. So we've opted for drilling some of the other shallow targets this year, but we'll come back to this. This is a very exciting, very big target with big size potential. I mentioned the Pantoja target where we drilled a couple of holes testing a helicopter resistivity electromagnetic anomaly and IP target. So it's a sort of satellite anomaly off the western end of La Romana. We hit some nice grades with copper and tin. Not very thick at this stage, but very encouraging seeing those grades and that mineralization. So it's still a pretty big geophysics target. There's more work to be done here, but it's a positive outcome nevertheless. But the other indication here is that this seems to be a lower stratigraphic level to the La Romana mineralization and could open up the potential for another layer beneath La Romana. So that's another exciting opportunity. I mentioned the large Bravo gravity anomaly or target that we're drilling at the moment. We've completed 3 of the 8 planned holes. We're encouraged by what we've seen so far. The next 3 holes will be testing probably the highest priority part of the target, where we have some really strong geophysics just off the southern margin of the gravity anomaly. Very high off the scale IP chargeability anomalies. So the next 3 holes we'll be testing that with the drill rig in position to drill those tomorrow, actually. So the next 2 or 3 weeks of drilling at the Bravo target will be very exciting for us indeed. The photograph at the top just gives you an idea of what the area looks like. It's flat. There's no rock sticking out of the ground, but we have a number of coincident geophysics and geochemistry indicators here, and it's large size potential, etc. A quick look at our timeline. So I mentioned we're aiming to have a maiden resource at La Romana published later in the second half of this year, assuming we move to a mining license application. Given the current process in Spain, we could be looking at permitting within 24 to 28 months, and then allowing for a couple of years of development. Could be in production within sort of 5 years. So that's pretty fast for fast timeline, but it is achievable in the Iberian Pyrite Belt, and there is track record for that. But in parallel, we hope to obviously make some additional discoveries and get us to that much bigger target that I mentioned before of maybe 100 million tonnes. So just very quickly, I mentioned we have a second project. It's very early days on this. It was a historical mining area for copper, nickel and cobalt, producing very high grades from the mines there. Looking at sort of breccia pipe style mineralization. But in our first exploration work this year, we've also identified some pretty significant gold. So this is really emerging as a very exciting target for us, not only for copper, etc., but also for gold. So we've drilled, planned 6 holes. The first 3 holes were really targeting in and around the old copper, nickel, cobalt mine workings. And each of those holes intersected gold as well, including 46 metres of 1.1 grams gold. Now, there was no record of any gold production here. There's been no record of gold at all. So this is a new discovery. We've also drilled anomalous gold mineralisation in breccia over more than 100 metres thickness. So that's suggesting sort of a much larger size potential here than we were just looking at with the copper, nickel, cobalt breccia system. So what's really exciting for us is not only that we've been hitting gold, those first 3 drill holes are outside of our gold target. So earlier this year, we did some soil geochemistry, etc., and channel sampling and so on. And we identified an area of strong gold anomalism to the east of the old mine workings and away from the effects of any of the previous mining. So, some of the surface sampling gave us 37 metres at 3 grams gold, a trench sample with 20 metres at 1.7 grams gold. So the next couple of holes we'll be testing beneath those trench and channel samples. Very exciting for us given the results we've got from the first 3 holes, which were not testing the gold target. So, it's still a copper target, but it's looking, at least at this breccia pipe, more like a gold target. But we have other breccia pipes in the area. We've got geophysics, etc., suggesting there's more to come out of this project area. So exciting at this early stage. It's very quickly on our capital structure. We have about 300 million shares out. Share price currently about 15 cents, so they're about market cap about 50 million. SCP have us providing analyst coverage. Thanks, Justin, with a price target of about 75 cents. So, I firmly believe we're undervalued where we're at today. We offer enormous upside, not only from our initial discovery, but on the many 100% owned targets that we have in the portfolio. So, I think it's something. Watch this space. We've got a really exciting year ahead. So, looking at the catalysts going forward, we've certainly got we've got more drilling to come at La Romana, but also the ongoing drilling at the new target up in the north at the Cármenes project. And also the drilling at Bravo and the other targets in the Escacena project in the Iberian Pirate Belt, in addition to coming out with our maiden resource later this year. So, a very exciting year for us. Watch this space. So I'll leave it there, Justin. Open for questions.
Thanks, Tim. I really appreciate that. The first one is just, can you give us a sense of the assets in the pyrite belt and what grades are economic for open pit and underground? Sorry, can you hear me, Tim? Sorry, we might have a tech issue here. If the editors can weigh in, can you guys hear me? Okay.
I can hear you, Justin. You break up a bit.
Okay, gotcha. No, so the question is, sorry for everyone on the line. So the question is, can you give us a sense of what economic grades are for open pit and underground in your part of the pyrite belt?
Yes, for sure. So open pit, the benchmark for us is Atalaya's open pit operation. It's the only currently operating open pit. That's about 25 kilometres to the west of us. Their reserve grades are about 0.39% copper. So it's a very low-cost operation, very efficiently run. You've been there, Justin. You've seen it. So that serves as a very good benchmark for us. The difference is with our mineralisation, we have better metallurgy for a start. We don't have it's coarser grain size, etc. So I think we've got an advantage in some respects. In terms of underground, I guess you generally need about 1% as a rule of thumb as a cut-off grade for underground mining. So that's pretty much across all of the mines in the belt.
Gotcha. Thanks, Tim. And just can you give us a sense of the timeline for your neighbor Los Frailes, given that they've just got their permits, and I guess what
Yeah,
that could
so
mean for you?
in their project report, they expect to be producing within about 3 years. So I guess my understanding is they'll start with developing a water treatment plant and then start the underground development. So you're looking at perhaps a 3-year timeline to actual production.
Gotcha. And given the proximity, of course, I guess relevance to you, there's potential to treat material there. Maybe as an intro, I'll let you elaborate on that.
Yeah, well, certainly, one of the attractions I think we offer is the optionality. Even with what we found today, which is a decent sized deposit with La Romana on its own, but certainly the option to truck or conveyor belt mineralization to one of the nearby mines, it provides a pretty attractive economic option for us. It's faster permitting, less capital cost. If you're not building a plant, you're not building your tailings, etc. So having a big producer, hopefully hungry for good quality concentrate, right next door to us, does give us the opportunity to perhaps toll treat or transport material to that mine. But of course, Las Cruces is also very close and potentially within conveyor belt distance as well. So it really doesn't get much better than that, and all the better to have more than one nearby producer when you're looking at options for selling ore to another plant. If we do some of this ore sorting that was again talked about in the previous presentation, and we've done some early testing on that shows that we can do some pre-concentration, increase the value of the material that we could potentially transport, and that would open up the opportunity to transport ore to some of the more distant processing centres, such as Atalaya and perhaps even Sandfire's operation.
Gotcha. Yeah, absolutely. There's as we saw firsthand, there's a lot of infrastructure, other operators, cheap power. So you have certainly a lot of benefits to work with as you prove it up.
Yeah, it's the lowest cost electricity in Europe, more than 50% renewables. And our location is sort of second to none, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, thank you so much, Tim. We're excited to see what the drilling at Bravo turns out and the resource in the second half. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.